What is going on, everybody? Justice is a process here. Wanted to jump in here on our newest case and wanted to discuss with you the Rick Chow case, which we are covering. Whoops, I guess right over here. South Carolina versus Rick Chow. And this is a case I've been tracking since the channel began. I remember seeing it popping up in my feed and looking at it and wondering if it was going to make it to trial, or were they going to do a plea bargain, or what was going to happen. But I think this is one of those cases where, again, it's really, really important. And I really do hope that the defense he's got a great defense team. So I know the defense is going to be well taken care of. The judge seems just on the first day, there seems to be a little bit of bias from the judge. But this is one of those cases that's really going to live and die on the law itself and how you interpret the events. And it's one of those things that lends itself easily to sound bites. And what do I mean by that? Why do I mean? Because it looks like you got 139 feet away from this store, a shooting occurs, and it's like, how is that justified? And this is one of those scenarios where that question is answered when you break this down and understand it in components and parts, and understand that it can't be told in a vacuum. It's got to be told with specificity. And then the jury's got to make a conclusion on what they think is the deserving outcome of that. Now, the thing is, and this is very, very important, and this seems to get lost trial after trial after trial, I see in the comment sections and see with everybody, and that is the burden rests solely on the state to prove its case. And in a case like this, where self-defense is at hand, the defense merely needs to raise it and show it's present, and then the state then has the burden to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that this was not self-defense. And that is a huge hill to climb, a huge mountain to climb. And a lot of times that gets forgotten. It gets kind of moved because the prosecutors like a jury to believe that, okay, you're claiming self-defense, prove it was self-defense. Well, what about this one? No, that's not the standard. The standard is, beyond any reasonable doubt, that self-defense is not the explanation. And the defense is going to make a showing. And I'll show you how they're going to make a showing, because this is a case, like I said, you've got to look deeply at the details. You've got to eliminate emotion. And then you've got to look at exactly what occurred. Because Rick Chow, and again, it's outrageous that this man's been sitting in jail for 3 years, in my opinion, okay? And and the reason why is because this is a situation where this is not a common everyday criminal who's going to go shoot people. And this is certainly not a guy, I don't think, that was going to go run on his bond, because I think he's got a very strong self-defense case once you understand it and break it down into the components and look at the moments that you're supposed to look at. So breaking it into components is, like I said, very, very important, because the main thing to understand about this case, if you're following this case, the main thing you've got to understand is you've got to understand that Rick Chow was not involved in the original confrontation that occurred inside the convenience store. That was his wife and his son. It's one of the reasons why the mother asked the son to be charged, it's to some degree, in this situation. Rick Chow isn't even involved in the pursuit outside of the store. And what is very, very important is, in self-defense cases, it's the perception of the individual. Where Rick Chow gets involved is he gets involved outside the store. And this is why I believe that there's no way you can say this is a red rum case. Because in my opinion, Rick Chow is outside pursuing. What this is it's either self-defense or it's reckless. And where does the recklessness come from? Because there wasn't an intent to kill this kid. The recklessness is, if he didn't see a gun and fired his gun on the word of his son, is that a reckless act? Should he have waited? Or did he have a right to